It was about 1994 when it happened. The North Korean famine. Hundreds and thousands of people would die from starvation every day. My dad was one of them. He worked hard as a military officer to feed his family, but one day my father got injured while working. Because he was no longer used to the military, he was released from his duty. Because he couldn't work, I had to look for food, and I would work from time to time. Then one day, my dad didn't wake up. He was dead, but I had no time to be sad. My mother was very sick and dying. That night, when no one was looking, I snuck into a cornfield to steal something to eat. When I saw a first corn, I devoured it. When I was full, I held 6 big corns in my arm, and I crawled out of the field. That's when I saw a soldier pointing a gun at my head, walking closer slowly. He told me to put down the corn, but I refused. That was the last memory I had that day. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. I still had the corns in my hand. Later, I heard from a doctor that the soldier who knocked me out was the one who brought me to the hospital. Later that day, I could feed my family and go to sleep with full stomachs. Few years later, my mom disappeared. A note was behind saying, I will go look for money in China. That was the last time I saw my mother. After losing mom, I felt there was no future in staying at Korea. So without any plan, I started the journey to the Chinese borderline. Few months later, I arrived at the Yellow River. It was a freezing winter night, so I saw some soldiers gathered around a campfire. I slowly walked up to the riverbank, going into the water. As I proceeded, the water felt like blades cutting through my skin, but I could not stop. When I was halfway through the river, the guards spotted me and threatened me to return to the land. But instead of heading back, I climbed onto the frozen riverbank and hid myself into the tall grass. I crawled until daylight. When I saw the scratches and the cuts on my body, it was a bad idea to escape from North Korea and it would be better to go back. But I could not go back. If I went back to North Korea, I would be executed. After walking for hours and hours, I lost consciousness. The last thing I remember is a woman running toward me and hugging me. When I woke up, I immediately thought it was my mother, but unfortunately it wasn't. She was a missionary hiding North Korean defectors. The lady brought me to an old American man. After he listened to my story, he proposed to me that I can become his son-in-law and he wishes to me to take me to America. In America, I had a pleasing life. I went to school, graduated from a college, and now I'm traveling the world telling people about God and my story. When I think back about my story of escaping North Korea, I believe God had watched my back and kept me safe. So I also want to help people who are trying to escape from his or her life like my father did for me.
Connection with Exodus. In the story, the main character was in a critical environment, so he wanted to have a better life. But in the process, he regrets his decision like the Israelites in the Exodus complaining to God. Also, the old American man symbolized the savior of the main character, saving him from the pain and helping to get a better life, which can be connected as a Moses of the Exodus. This is how our story is related to the theme of deliverance and Exodus. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.